Welcome back to another episode of Tactical Harmony. And today I am thrilled to introduce and welcome Valerie Bowden. Valerie Bowden is the founder of Crdle, a seven-figure company helping businesses scale by hiring top-tier remote talent from Africa. Named one of NBC's top 30 global women rising, she's on a mission to prove that purpose and profit can grow together. After backpacking solo across Africa and living in Ethiopia for 8 years, Valerie turned her experiences into a movement, empowering companies to choose Africa and unlock their next level of success. She now lives in Pittsburgh with her husband and two kids, continuing to build bridges between businesses and global opportunity. Valerie, welcome to the Tactical Harmony Show.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited.
Oh, me too. Okay, well, let's start with your journey and how did you make your way to Africa and then what got you to solo backpack? Tell us all about it.
Sure. So I did a 3-month volunteer trip in Ethiopia for 3 months after college. And at the time, I thought I would, be this American going there to help. And unfortunately, when I arrived, I had the worst experience in terms of the nonprofit I was working with was operating illegally. And you realize very quickly, like, they do not need me. So it was very eye-opening in terms of like the whole volunteerism and just realizing like, I'm not needed as a help here. But I loved Ethiopia. Like I just fell in love with the food, the coffee, the culture. And it was so different than in my mind what I expected Africa to be. So I go home, I get my master's in social work, and I'm still thinking of Ethiopia. And I'm like, I have to go back to figure out why am I so, obsessed with this country? Why do I keep thinking about it? And also, what are other African countries actually like? Because Ethiopia was so different than I expected. And because I had no money after grad school, my idea was just to fly to Cape Town on like a one-way plane ticket. And then I was just going to travel for a few weeks until I got to Ethiopia and come home in like a month. But as I was traveling, I was having such a good time that I just ended up staying for 7 months and 9 days. I went through 13 African countries and I ended up staying for 7 months. So yeah, it went totally different than expected. And it was just a really good lesson. Like sometimes we have these plans, but you don't want to stick too tightly to them because you want the ability to change and make it even better than you expected. So yep, that's how I kind of ended up backpacking across the continent.
Wow, that is
Mhm.
incredible. Okay, I have so many questions. That is amazing, and I loved how you followed your inner voice, a calling, a nudge, and I think that's a really good lesson for folks listening that there could be something that's nudging at you right now and you're thinking about it and it's just something that's kind of always there. Maybe it's there when you're walking your dog around the block or you're thinking about it, when you're showering or when you're cooking dinner. Like listen to it because look what it's done for Valerie and like the amazing experiences you had that you couldn't have envisioned had you not answered the call.
Exactly. At the time, you're right. I just felt like this inner nudge, like this is where I have to go. And I didn't know exactly how to do it. I'd never backpacked before. I certainly have like no survivor skills. Like I'm not someone who you would picture being a good backpacker. And at the time, I did not have very much support. So my friends and family, look, I grew up in Indiana. So like no one was doing this kind of thing. And I didn't have a lot of support. And it's funny because now, years later, now that it was a success, everybody is saying, I wish I would have done that. That's so cool. They're bragging about it. But at the time, sometimes when you follow your inner voice, like you don't have that support. So you really do have to feel grounded and trust that instinct because you're not going to have the external validation there.
That's a really good call out that I think a lot of people knowingly or unknowingly seek that external validation or they won't take a move that they know is right, but if they don't have the support of their husband or their wife or their mom or dad, depending on what season of life they're in, they might hold themselves back and they know they're playing small. They know they want to do this thing, but they've got to have that support. And you are a living example that they still love you, they still support you. They may not understand it, but that doesn't stop you from moving and executing.
They were very much worried. So it came across as like concern, like out of love, we don't think you should do this. Like out of love, we're concerned that you're going to be a headline on the news. But I felt like as long as I did some common sense things to be safe and I had like, I took a one-way flight really so I could fly back home if I needed quickly. But yeah, you have to follow your gut because otherwise you regret it. And my friends I have who did not follow their gut regret it so much now. So it's just been a really good confirmation to continue living my life like that.
Yeah, and I mean, experience is the best teacher, and the experiences that you undoubtedly had received during your time over there, especially as a young adult in a foreign country and figuring it out on your own, you build some mad life skills, I'm confident.
For a while, I was like, I don't even think I could write a resume because all my skills are like, I can now pee outside on a long bus ride. I can like all these things that you're like, this would not really help me in the real world, but somehow I've gained these really funny skills. But yeah, I mean, certainly it's all made me so much different, and that's why I always tell people like you should travel. Like it doesn't have to be to Africa. I always vote that way, but anywhere you travel, you are learning how to navigate in a different country, in a different language. And that helps you so much as you do business and just do life. So I always tell people, especially young people, like travel as much as you can.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I mean, I have been to so many countries, and every single country, every single culture gave me some gift, some
Mhm.
learning, some blessing, and it's just so incredible, and it's hard to put into words. I mean, it's an energy, it is a feeling, and I'm so grateful, and it only was made possible by me saying yes, getting my butt out there. I mean, some of the travel was for work when I was with NCIS, and a lot of it was personal travel, but both situations gave me so much love, so much light, so much global understanding and perspective.
Yeah, 100%. I hope more people travel. Like that's the sign from listening to this podcast. Like go
Yes.
book that ticket. You gotta go on that trip because it will support you.
Yeah, no, totally. And I guess this can you may have answered this, but I still want to ask, like, was there a certain mindset that you embodied or a certain character trait that allowed you to solo backpack in a country that you've not been before?
For a long time, I've always had the feeling like you should try to do one thing every day that scares you or something that you could fail at. That has supported me so much, but certainly like I really thought like I might fail, like maybe I'll come back in 2 weeks, like I have no idea. But just going for it and doing something hard, I think is one reason why I wanted to do that trip. And it certainly made me have a lot more confidence and believe in myself. So it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, and it's faith, like, it's believing and trusting in something that you may not see, but you trust the unfolding of it all and how it
Mhm.
unravel, and whether that's 2 weeks or 8 years,
Mhm.
like, your journey is your own, but, like, how fun and exhilarating and exciting is that?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It also teaches you just, like, faith in humanity, like, I have so many stories where I was, like, lost and somebody helped me, and they would say, like, "This is how I'd want someone to help my wife or my sister or my daughter," and even now, I think I still have that faith in humanity, I know someone's gonna let me into that lane, or I know someone's gonna, like, help me if I get lost, or if I forget the diaper, like, there will be another mom there with a diaper, like, just, like, that kind of trust and then it makes you also be that person like where you're willing to show up and support a stranger with what they need and I think that's like a better way to view the world especially with so many scary things happening like to still have that faith I think is important.
And what a beautiful way to move through life and business. Like, it's going to work out. Something is going to happen in my favor, even in a perceived negative situation, or you forget something, or whatever it is. It's going to work out. I've got this. And like, that's so empowering.
It is. I also love the affirmation, like, out of this situation, something good will come. And so, like, after my trip, I was living in Ethiopia. I told my parents it'd be 6 months. It was 8 years. And one day I remember, like, my power went out and I was, like, just so annoyed, like, just, like, not in the mood to have a power outage. And I went outside to get my power turned on and I couldn't figure it out. I'm talking to the guard and this guy comes along and he starts, like, translating to get my power on. And I kept saying, like, out of the situation, something good will come. And I'm just, like, repeating that in my head and we ended up having coffee, we ended up working together, and then, long story short, like, he is now my husband. So, So it's like you just really never know where things are gonna go. But like if you have like the right mentality, like and just think like, something good's gonna come out of this, or like someone's gonna help me. Like just one thing leads to another.
Oh, wow. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that. That is incredible. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I was going to take it like, hey, your subconscious mind is listening, which is true,
Mhm.
right? Like your subconscious mind is always listening. And that's something that we talk a lot about here in Tactical Harmony. It has no sense of humor. So if you were, always negative or talking down to yourself or whatever, it's going to program that. But if you have an affirmation like Valerie's, or you were more empowering and you've got this. Like, no matter what's going on, you've got this. The subconscious mind is going to program that. And sometimes
100%.
you might find your future partner.
Yeah, you never know what you can get with a good mentality.
That is so cool. Okay. I love, love, love that. All right. Let's talk about Cradle. So, you built a 7-figure business with this belief that you can scale purpose and profit at the same time. So, I'm curious, how much of that building was strategy for you and how much was conviction as you were building Cradle?
As I started Cradle, it was much more about the conviction. I quit my job when I was 8 months pregnant to start this job. I just take big risk, I think. I quit my job to start this, and a lot of it was conviction. Like I know that there's great talent in Africa. I know that these companies should be hiring not just in places like Philippines or Latin America, but in Africa. Now that we're 3.5 years in and we have almost 200 team members, now we are getting much more into like the strategy, the systems, the processes to support that great conviction so that there's not chaos for everyone. But yeah, conviction is definitely what got it started.
And that's so important for all of the founders and the entrepreneurs and the small business owners that are or who are listening rather, of which they are many. You start off with this vision and you know what's possible. And you are going to have a lot of peaks and valleys, right? Like success is not linear and you probably will have more, valleys if you will than you will peaks, and that's part of the game. I mean, a lot of businesses don't make it. So I'm curious for you and your journey before NBC named you one of the top 30 women. Before all this, what kept you going when you were kind of in those lower points as you were building?
Well, I had actually had startups before when I was living in Ethiopia that didn't really pan out the way I wanted. And when I started building Cradle, I first had two small children. So I had to make it work. And I had put my reputation on the line for this, in which I hadn't really done before. And so my entire LinkedIn, all my network, everything was based on this having to succeed. So it was very much like the mentality like, this has to work. Like I cannot have another failed startup. I've put my brand out there. I have two small kids. Daycare is not cheap and like this has to work. And so it was really just again putting my conviction out there over and over on LinkedIn. Like you should hire from Africa. It's really great. Like I know that, like sharing that over and over until it did finally take off.
But yeah, I think at least it's a quote that I heard from Tony Robbins. I don't know if it's an original quote, but if you want the island, burn the boat.
Mhm. It was very much burn the boat. Like there is no way out of this. And along the way, we did pivot a little bit. Like we had different things that we were doing that were like, this is not working. So sometimes it's like there was different products or services that you're like, I should kill this off. But the overall mission of the company and what we were doing to create great jobs in Africa, that part never changed.
Yeah, I mean, and that's part of it as well as like having that flexibility and not being so rigid that, yeah, your business is going to change a little bit. I know Tactical Harmony has. I mean, I've pivoted and I've added things, deleted things, and I've taken amazing feedback from incredible people. And that's part of the game. But the essence of Tactical Harmony, the essence of Cradle
Right.
never changed. You just may have tweaked things along the way, if you will.
Yeah, 100%. When I first started Cradle, the goal was to create great jobs in Africa. So in my head, I would do, outsourcing services where you could like hire a VA or a cold caller from Africa. But for a while, I was actually importing products from Africa too. So you could literally go to the Cradle website and buy coffee or hire a virtual assistant, which in my mind at the time was like, creating jobs in Africa. And then to clients, they're like, this is so confusing. I want a VA and all I can see is this, coffee from Uganda. Like I'm so confused. And then as much as I kind of did love the export part of it, when I looked, it was like 99% of our money came from the outsourcing. but probably like 60% of my effort was going into this export business and the cash flow wasn't there. And just like, I mean, it was just so challenging. That was like, what am I doing? So it was just like, we have to kill off the export part of the business and only focus on outsourcing. And that really did start to drive everything forward significantly faster.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, and I think for anyone that is building a business, about to build a business, in the thick of it, give yourself permission to make these changes.
Mhm.
And how you start off isn't going to be how you end up always. I mean, what's
Yeah.
her name? Shalene Johnson. She started off like doing physical fitness and exercise videos, and now she's doing wildly different things, and I
Right.
know she's big into business, and she's changed so many times. And, it's if it's possible for someone else to do it, it's possible for you.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, it's hard because I just love so many things, but actually getting data and numbers has been really helpful in making me make better decisions because I can be a little bit indecisive and I can be so passionate about different projects. Even in terms of like clients we work with, it was very much like, okay, 80% of our revenue was coming from this 20% of our clients. And we redefined our whole ICP to be like, no, we're only going after these clients now. And I would have really had a hard time saying no until I saw the revenue and I was like, this doesn't make sense. And if our job is to create a lot of jobs in Africa, like we do really have to focus on like this larger clientele. And again, it's just like you can make those decisions that are hard if you do have the number and data to support it.
Yeah, and you can still be multi-passionate because I see you. I I am multi-passionate as well. And I'm like, okay, I can still have all these other passions and it's not
Mhm.
part of tactical harmony, but it's still there. So
And I still love like products made in Africa. So there's like a Tanzanian tea company called Kazi Yetu I'm obsessed with. So now instead of trying to import it and sell it myself, I just like buy it and post it on my Instagram and tell other people to buy it. So it's just like you can still do it. It's just like some things should be a hobby and some things should be work. And you have to like distinguish what is what.
yes. Yeah, no, that discernment and then having that clarity is a superpower for sure. So how does it feel when you connect someone in Africa as a virtual assistant and they get hired here in America and they are thriving and they're doing so well? And how does it feel from where you were sitting that you built that bridge?
It's really cool. I'm not gonna lie. It's actually a really good feeling on both sides. Sometimes I'll have a client who will send me a selfie and they went to like an Ethiopian restaurant that day because they're like, well, I wanted to know what, Kadist eats. And I'm like, but that's so cool because now you're also like opening yourself up to culture and like that's also helping like the Ethiopian business in America thrive. And it's also just like so respectful of each other's culture in a really cool way. But of course, from our team members we hire, like they're just so fun and cool and like they're just great people. So to see them have the ability to make money in USD, work with these great companies, it does feel like a really cool win-win.
That was so amazing. And so you turned all of your life experiences, everything that you did, you turned this into a movement. So for someone who is listening right now and they have something that they're experiencing and they don't know how to channel it, they don't know how to build it, but it's a dream, it's something that they're going through and they know that it means something, but they don't know how it's going to take shape. What advice would you give them right now?
I would say just to take a tiny step forward because I think you can get stuck in that place where you're trying to figure it out and then you really get frozen and you never move forward. So take a step forward. It's going to be super messy and not the way you really want it. And then you'll tweak over time. So even when I backpacked Africa, like there's not a lot of backpacking tips on, going through the continent, right? So I really could like only figure out this is how I'm gonna get to Cape Town. And when I was in Cape Town, somebody told me how to get to the next town. And like that was like how I did my trip was literally step by step. And so for anyone who's like, I'm really passionate about this, maybe it's a business, like just post it on your LinkedIn or post it on Instagram or reach out to one client and see if they're interested. Like just do one little thing to get it going and be okay with the mess and the imperfection. And then after a month of doing that consistently, you will actually have a much better product and service that you can actually launch and that actually is like firming up the way you want it to be.
That is such sage advice because I mean, we've heard the age old saying, how do you run a marathon? One step at a time. But
Mhm.
there's so much truth in that. And I
Yeah.
think we get analysis paralysis and we are like, oh my God, how do I eat this elephant? There's so much, right? Like
Yeah.
one bite at a time. And like even just one thing that you do, one step in front of you will create momentum, and then 2 steps, and then 10 steps. And then just like Valerie explained, in time, results will compound. That is the
Mhm.
law. That is how it works. And it might be hard to see that, from future year perspective. But if you focus on right now, 5 yards in front of you, keep moving the ball down the,
Mhm.
you will, one, you're going to gain confidence. You're going to see what's working, what's not working, allowing you to harness that feedback and make necessary pivots when you need to. And you're going to keep growing. That's how it works.
Mhm. Yeah, and really, like, I think we also get so caught up with, like, I have to get to the end, like, the destination, and it's, like, not to be too cheesy, but it is, like, the journey that's, like, the fun part. Like, I keep going back to my backpacking trip, but I remember when I finally reached Cairo, which was, like, what I was aiming for the whole 7 months, I felt nothing. Like, I was not happy, I was not joyful, I was just like, "Oh, I wish I could do it all over again." That was, like, so fun. And so I think like the same with building a company, like everybody wants to exit or hit like a certain like revenue amount, but like really the fun part is like every day meeting your team or having a really cool client that you drive with or like getting that product to be exactly what you want cuz like the building feels good. So, yeah, I think it's just like enjoying each day and that will build like a better like end anyways.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Like, I know there are so many like cliche or cheesy things, but gosh, they're all true.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
nobody
yeah.
is writing a book about the view from the top of the mountain. They're writing the book about how they got to the top of the mountain.
100%.
You
Yeah.
know? And it's like, wow, like it is the journey, it is the process, it's who you become, it's all of the lessons, the blessings, the how you
Mhm.
fell down, how you got back up, like that's the journey. And like it's your Cairo, right? Like, and I love that. You're like, I'm sure it was like an amazing sight to behold. It's one of the places I have not been, so I don't
Yeah.
have that vibe. It's definitely on my list. But like, yeah, it was just like that whole journey that I'm sure like you just learned so much about yourself, about life, about
Yeah.
all of the things, and then you were able to reach that destination.
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. No, Cairo is, like, awesome place to visit. It was just for me, like, I thought I'd feel, like, so accomplished or feel, like, so relieved, but I was just like, "Can I do it again?" Like, that's what I wanna do, and I think that's why so many founders also, like, sell a business and then they instantly start building a new one because, like, if you are, like, that entrepreneur, like, you always wanna be building. So, you're in different stages and they all have good and bad parts to it, so, yeah, just enjoy where you are.
Yeah, be where your feet are. That I
Mhm.
mean, I
Oh,
won't
yeah,
take this
good.
on the mindfulness trip, but like, yes, be in the moment, be where your feet are, enjoy it because you never know what is around the corner. And I mean, I mean that in an amazing sense, and I mean that in I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but like you don't know what could happen a moment from now.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
we wanna enjoy the gift of the present moment and what we have, because that is what we have. That's guaranteed. It's true.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree anymore.
Okay. So we're talking about entrepreneurship. What's a hard part of entrepreneurship for you? Or what maybe is like a lesson that you had to learn about being an entrepreneur that you could share with all of us?
I think there's definitely like the emotional roller coaster where one day you sign a new client and you're so, so happy. And then the next day, everything looks so bleak. And you're like, I wasn't meant to do this. We're never going to do that. Like you just feel so down. And it literally can be like day by day how you feel. It's like the weather. Like, we were talking before this about how it's like it's sunny now and then Friday it's supposed to snow, right? Like that's kind of like business sometimes as well. And I finally think I've gotten a really good grasp of that on those bad days. I'm like, but it's just one of those bad days. Like, let's just name it. It is a bad day, but like tomorrow I'm going to feel good again. Like tomorrow's going to be fine. And then sometimes through those bad days, like I don't power through. Like I'll stop work, an hour early and go take a walk outside. Sure enough, like the next day is good. But I think that's definitely hard. It's like it is so emotionally taxing at first until you start to like manage those ups and downs.
Yeah, that is so true. And it requires grit and resilience, I think. Like it's like you can weather the storm, we're talking
Mhm.
about weather as it's raining here in Montana today, but it was sunny yesterday. But like
Yep.
I know that tomorrow is going to be a different day and it could rain. I don't think it's supposed to. I think it's supposed to be sunny. But if it did, that's okay. It's not going to be rainy forever. It's not going to be sunny forever. It's a season. And that impermanence is actually very comforting that, I know that it's going to change, but I have the backbone, I have the conviction, I have the vision, I have my North Star that I'm going to be able to withstand it. And like, we've got this. But that it's that simple and it's that hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's a roller coaster, right? And we love roller coasters, but you do have to have that mental strength.
100%. I think it's really easy to say, like, you just gotta weather it out, but it is hard when you're in it. Like, it does feel really crushing sometimes. But that's also the benefit. I mean, like, there's so many great benefits to being an entrepreneur. Like, you can make your own schedule, you can make more money, you get to do exactly what you want. And then the negatives that come with it are like sometimes you're gonna have some bad days and things are gonna be a little emotionally hard and you're gonna need that grit. And that it just, when you pick up one end of the stick, you pick up the other. So they kind of both come together.
Yeah, I've never heard it characterized like that. I usually say there are no bad days, there are character building days.
It's
And
a
it
nice
really
way to
helps me
say it.
reframe it, right? Like, I'm trying to
Yeah.
reframe it. I'm not toxic positivity because I do not believe in that. But I also believe in empowering myself and I believe in learning continuously, and quote unquote failures or things that don't go my way really get my attention and they teach me. And so I'm going to have that ownership mentality where I'm like, okay, how is this serving me? How is this serving the people that I serve? And everything in between.
Mhm.
And it really has made a difference having that mindset shift.
100%. Yeah, because if not, you like, what are the options? You just quit and, like, what I mean? Like, that's not the option either. So, yeah, you have to have something that helps you get through those bad days for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so switching gears slightly, you've had such beautiful global experiences around the world. And I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the human potential and the human capacity on a universal scale?
Oof, that's so good. Well, I heard it said somewhere, and I don't know who said it, but, they said, like, talent is everywhere, opportunity is not. And so it's not like America just has, more talent than any other place. It's just that other places have just as much talent, but they just don't have opportunity to get the jobs. And like that's kind of what we do at, Cradle is that we do believe there's just as much talent in Africa, but nobody knows about it. And they don't have the access to apply. So yeah, in terms of just human potential, like there's just potential everywhere. And you just have to recognize that it's everywhere.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and it's so exciting because you were broadcasting that now. And so everyone that's listening is like, "Hey, oh my gosh," like they are now thinking like, "Hey, the light bulb's turned on." And it can be obviously through your business, but and it can also be through other ways. Like, where else am I not looking for an opportunity? Because like where we place our attention, where we place our energy, like I have to be able to focus myself. And when I am focused and I'm looking for something, I'm gonna get it. Your brain
Mhm.
wants you to have that. So that's so amazing. Okay, Valerie, who are you behind the scenes? Like, who is the woman behind the business? Like, behind the scenes, Valerie, give us a peek.
Yeah, well, I have 2 small kids, 3 and 5. So I'm definitely like in that era of like mom mode. So behind the scenes, like we are doing play dates. We are just trying to do all of the crazy things our kids want to do, like keep the house clean while having like a toddler throw things everywhere. So yeah, and I mean, my husband and I are currently based in Pittsburgh. We are shopping cities, trying to figure out where we might want to relocate someday. But yeah, I feel like it's like I'm living a very normal life at the moment, especially compared to like all the crazy adventures and like global experience I had. We have found ourselves like in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, which is a very unique place that I didn't expect myself to be in someday.
So exciting. So you're clearly very busy. The very important role of being a mother, and you are a wife and a very busy business owner. How do you keep yourself going? Like, do you have a habit or a practice that you do that keeps like, for self-care or soul care, as I call it? Like, what do you do that keep yourself operating at peak performance?
Yep, I started taking off Friday afternoons about a year ago. I actually had a client who he has wellness Fridays. He takes a whole day off. He doesn't have kids, so I don't feel like I'm there yet. But I do take like Friday from like noon to 4 p.m. off, and I do whatever I want to do. Sometimes if it's warm, it's like bike riding or kayaking. Sometimes it's a facial. Sometimes it's shopping. But it's really like all about me, and I refuse to like grocery shop or run errands or do anything during that time. Like it really needs to serve me. And that has helped me be so much of a nicer person because then I roll into the weekend and I'm like happy about doing like that Chuck E. Cheese, birthday party or, doing something for the family. Like it doesn't feel like a sacrifice because like my cup is already so filled. And after like a great week with my team, like I've also given my team permission. Like if you need to take Friday afternoons off, as long as your stuff is done, like I don't care. That's totally fine on my end. So yeah, definitely a few hours to myself every week has been like the biggest support.
Well, it's wonderful leadership that you were doing it, which sets the example, and then you were also extending that to your team, and that's huge. And if people aren't able to do it on a Friday afternoon, find time to do it because I really believe that time management is one of the best things that you can ever give yourself. It's a gift, and
Mhm.
be very aggressive with your calendar. Like if you need to write it down, if you're old school like me, or you have a calendar on your computer or your phone, whatever mode for you, if you commit to it and actually do it, you're going to feel better. And when you feel better, you're going to show up better as
Yep.
in your family, in your friend circle, certainly in business. And it really is, it should be a non-negotiable to do because I've been on the other side where I never gave to myself. I was giving to everyone all the time. And that you will run straight into a wall, straight into burnout. And that's not success.
100%. I find myself way more like short-tempered or like cranky if I don't have that time. And you really do have to like block it out and truly say no. So I'll have like some clients being like, "Oh, like I'd love to hire like four more people. You want to meet up Friday afternoon?" And I'm like, "No, Monday morning, I'm there." Unless it's like an absolute emergency for the like a current client, like anything else, even sales work, I just put off until the next week. Guess what? Like I'm still growing and we're still thriving and like nothing bad has happened from this. And if else, like it's helped the business, I think, because if I show up with that energy, that is also dictating how my team members show up.
So what does winning look like for you and Cradle in the next 6 months to a year? Like what's exciting and on deck?
Yep. So we have now 200 team members, and we really are going for 1,000 team members. Like that's where I'm like, wow, that would be a big impact. I don't know if it will happen in the next 6 months, but I think within the next year or two, we should hit that. That feels like a big impact for me. So that's what we're working for.
Oh, that's so exciting. I have no doubt that you will achieve that and then some.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many companies who need support. There's so many great professionals in Africa. And then we get to be in this like lucky place of connecting them. So yeah, so that's what we want to do. And also just kind of like re-highlight the narrative about the continent in like a better way.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, well, last question for you before we part ways. If no one listens to anything in this podcast but this one clip, what message would you like to give someone as it pertains to mindset, performance, or leadership?
Mm. Well, our slogan is choose Africa. So I would just encourage someone like choose Africa for your next hire. Choose Africa for your next vacation. Like choose Africa like when you're in the grocery store and you see coffee from Ethiopia or Kenya, like try it. Like um one because I think it's just like the most forgotten continent and it has so much to offer and there's so many win-wins out of it, but it puts you in a place where you're trying something new and like that always kind of like rejuvenates me whenever I try something new. It's like even like a mini adventure if you can't have like a really full one. So yeah, choose Africa for whatever you're doing next.
I love that. Well, Valerie, where can people find you and your business and Cradle if they are interested in hiring someone from your company and seeing what you're up
Mhm.
to?
Yeah, well, our website is cradle.com and that is spelled cradle without the A. So CRDLE.com. Or you can always connect with me on LinkedIn, Valerie Bowden, and I post like tips every day. So even if you're like, look, I'm not ready to hire someone now, or maybe you even have an offshore team somewhere else and you just want tips to like make them feel more integrated, like I have tons of like just free guidance on there that I think would help any business leader who wants to do offshore in a good way.
Yeah, and I'm connected with her, y'all, and she puts out such amazing stuff. So go check her out. As always, we will put all of the links in the show notes below. Valerie, thank you so much. I have loved this conversation and all of the things that we talked about. It was so amazing, and I truly appreciate your time.
Same. No, I'm so grateful that I got to be here. So thank you for the time. It's been wonderful.